Yeah, these speakers just sound and feel awesome.
Where is he?
Why can't I turn? What's going on, everybody? Stubbs here from Retro Handhelds. We are here on site in Los Angeles, California, and we're taking a look at the new Claw 8 AI Plus. But we want to see what's better in the new model. Is the $900 USD asking price fair for what you get on offer with this brand new Intel Lunar Lake chipset? Bigger 8-inch screen here, VRR up to 120 Hz, 1200p panel. We're looking at an 80 watt-hour battery life. And now there are some changes to the buttons, the sticks, and so we'll take a look in today's video compared to the tried and true old Claw. And most importantly for me, I mean, come on, these speakers were my favorite thing about the old Claw. Have they made improvements? Are the speakers even better here? And overall, is this worth the money? Could it be your one and done device? Okay, let's hop in. Retail box, love the pink and purple. Soon, or online. Look at that. Reverse unboxing. All right, so let's just do some quick size comparisons to start things out today. So here we have the new Claw 8 AI Plus. Here is the original Claw. This is gonna be the same shell though that we see in the new 7 AI Plus. And already right off the bat, this has a case on it, but even still, we do have more of an ergonomic bump on the back. So I always found this original Claw here to be more comfortable. Sticks, I can tell you, I'm a fan of these sticks. And the D-pad was the worst. Face buttons were serviceable. I know a lot of people didn't like L1 and R1, but they're okay. You know, they're not as ergonomic, and the triggers aren't the best. So looking over at the Claw 8, now we have some improvements. As far as the face buttons go, those feel a little more tactile, more responsive. We now have Hall sticks for the joysticks. However, they are a little bit looser than the original Claw, which leads you to not only more freedom of movement, but unfortunately a little bit of a lack of tight controls there. So I would have liked to see a little more tension on these, but you do have fun LED lighting there that match up to what you can do here with the face buttons. L1 and R1 is a huge improvement here. This is so much better. We have a quiet clicky there, and also right here on L2 and R2, also a big improvement. Feels more like an Xbox controller now. And there's a little bit of grit, as you can see right there. As far as I/O goes on this one, we're looking at a micro SD up top. We're looking at two USB 4, Thunderbolt 4 ports up top. Really nice to see an extra port, so now this can be turned into a mini PC a little easier. We have a headphone out, volume up and down. Along the bottom, it is clean. We have nothing. And now this unit is a pre-release unit, but the hardware, from what I understand, is pretty much final here, as well as the software just has a little more baking that needs to be done. M1 and M2 feel really good as they are on the back right now. This is an improvement from what we saw on the original, where I didn't think this M1 and M2 was as good feeling, a little more awkward to press. So this is a big improvement there. Yeah, we're seeing less of a bump out on the back, and so to me, initially not as comfortable to hold, but I like the minimal branding. The non-fingerprinty shell, matte plastic shell is very nice. And the big air intakes here lead to very cool temps as I've been testing today. You have the big exhaust up the top there. The only thing that does get a little hot, again, is the screen. The screen gets a little bit warm for my liking, but you do have now this bigger 8-inch screen, VRR, 120 Hertz. We're gonna get, with the next Intel update, we're gonna get frame generation. XESS is great to have on here, and we have these dual firing, front firing speakers with bigger resonating chambers, these new 4th gen rubbers they have on the speakers. It's just bonkers. Like, it just sounds awesome. Like, take a look at some of this footage. I feel the bass. I feel the bass bumping in my hands in the front. You can feel that sound though. I love the Claw speakers. Let's take a look at the software here. So here's the new M Center, and we have access to all of our quick options, control mode, and here's our settings for Mystic Light, the AI engine. You got all your options in there. Noise cancellation. We got AI engine, endurance, and manual mode. Okay, here's the button on the right. This gives you access to that quick option. I like the tactile feel of these buttons here. If you want to change all your basic things, Street Fighter 6. Yeah, I really like the improvement to those triggers. Oh my goodness. No screen tearing. even more vibrant than the first one, and having the extra real estate is just really key. Kind of minimal branding there, and the bezel isn't too bad, but we do have a bezel going around. As far as the colorway goes, the Sandstorm option, yeah, it looks not too bad. You know, it's very high quality feeling plastic, and I'm not seeing any fingerprints or smudging happen on the shell. And the shell on the back here as well, you're not seeing smudging even as it starts to warm up a bit. And thermals in general are improved though, because you're not feeling that in your hands. Really the only place you feel heat is on the screen itself. And yeah, overall, I'm getting more used to the feel of it. It's not the most comfortable handheld I've ever used, and so I really think this is going to benefit from getting an ergo case to help get a little more comfort out of there. So it's a lot more of a flat design, which some people do prefer, but I know for my large hands, I just like having more of a bump out there, just something to grab onto. We do have the claw up top. And yeah, you have your micro SD card here, so you can add in your games, so you can do some emulation. Overall, you know, just the weight balance is very nice. 80 watt-hour batteries, nuts in here, so you can really go to town. 32 gigs of RAM, which is cool, so that's a nice benefit over Ally X. Unfortunately, though, the downside of this whole entire thing that almost ruins it if you're really a big fighting game player is the D-pad. This D-pad is, I believe, worse than the original. You have more of a concave divot there, so you can feel when you're hitting the D-pad for shooting games and things, but for Hadoukens, this is just a very non-Hadoukenable experience for me, and it just doesn't feel so good. There's very minimal travel and pivot. I actually prefer this just a tad bit more over the new design. So I think that is a downgrade, unfortunately, for some of us who are particular about how our D-pads pivot, especially if you're into fighting games. For FPS games and modern shooters and things like that, I think this D-pad's gonna be great though, because you can do your quick access and you can clearly feel your up, down, left, right, while diagonals maybe don't feel super great, and there's almost pretty much no pivot, unfortunately. No pivot. So that's a big bummer for me.
Caleb, is it Hadoukenable?
It's Hadoukenable.
Let me see some of those Hadoukens. Come on, Hadouken him! Hadouken! Destroy.
I'd say, what, 95% success rate?
Come on. Oh. But you said...
You can like, literally see it hitch up.
Yeah, there. Carrie's gonna steal it from you because I want to see him use the thumbstick. I want to see him
Let's
use
see,
the
so
D-pad.
Russ Hadoukens versus Carrie Hadouken.
I want to watch this.
Oh, dude! His finger is jumping between the
Oh, you're actually...
sides. He's not sliding at all.
No, he's not sliding. I'm like,
You're a pick up and lift kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm being precise with where I want to put my thumb.
Yeah, but isn't that work?
Well, when you're like,
Isn't that...
the game's made for a lever.
You want to slide. Feels good.
you're talking about making videos, right?
See,
People be like, where your thumbs at?
he's got gamer's thumb too. I can see that. Look at that. That's like perfectly.
What do you think, Russ?
I recognize game. Game recognizes game, but it's not changing.
We are not playing Canary at Street Fighter. Somehow he is.
I mean, I'm just... I'm like,
Literally not.
so I'll go like
Literally
this.
doing the input.
Bob, what do you think about all this?
I'm just doing it.
I think he's a weirdo, and I think that we're all normal.
Yeah, yeah, that's all.
They
That's
decided to make the D-pad for the one guy, not for the every guy.
yeah.
It's a conspiracy. Carrie's been in pockets of big handheld since the beginning. Yeah, comparing it again to other handhelds. So here's a couple other we can take a look at. Compared to the original Steam Deck, there's a size comparison. And the screen here, as you can see, is reflective, very reflective. This one, if you look at the placement of the joysticks and the buttons, I do think, ergonomically speaking, these are in really nice spots, and it's comfortable to reach everything. That's an improvement over the original Claw as well, just the placement of where you have these things. Still maybe not Steam Deck levels good, and we don't have touch pads or anything, but this should be enough to do what you need. I'm looking at another big one. This is another handheld with an 80 watt-hour battery, the Ally X from ASUS with their Z1 Extreme chip. And yeah, this has a grip on it, but the Ally X ergonomics have always been very nice feeling, and the shoulders work well on this. The D-pad is improved on the Ally X, and generally people recommend this one. You're going to have more game compatibility because you're on AMD drivers versus Intel drivers. Lunar Lake, unfortunately, they are still figuring out full compatibility for games, so we are going to see just a wider compatibility here on the ASUS. But you have that smaller screen. Yes, it's still VRR, but this is more compact, perhaps mobile experience. The weight on the Ally X, even though this has a grip, a little bit more heft on this compared to the same battery size in here. They're able to spread it out better because it's a bigger body. Looking at another handheld here, the AYANEO Flip DS, more compact experience, clamshell option, and I'm just borrowing this from my friend Michaela from Team Retrogue. He's helping me film today. Thank you, cameraman. You have inlaid joysticks, very shallow buttons all around, but even still, I like this D-pad better because you can just feel movements. So dual screen 3DS has got to be a dream on there. It gets kind of hot though, and that's where one thing where this shines is that it's not going to get as warm and it's able to spread that heat out really nicely. And the efficiency of Lunar Lake, we got to talk about that. The efficiency of Lunar Lake is just bonkers. Battery life should be amazing on here. I've been trying out another Lunar Lake laptop by ASUS, the ZenBook S14. It's an all-day battery life. It's just really cool how we're able to lower the TDP and still get good performance out of this iGPU. Take a look at some of this footage here. Phoenix Rising. We're seeing here a comparison of FPS versus the ROG Ally X.
So does that mean yes?
79.
So what if you unlock both of them?
Right. Using that U green.
Nice. Use code Wolf then.
See, I love Greek mythology, so this game kind of got me. Can I skip the cutscene? It's not.
Running at 17 watts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Although
17 watts.
total package power just
Over
shot up
here.
to 18.
see this graph is comparing 17 to 17, 17 to 30. Both maxed out and see what happens.
There, you're actually get to.
We get a little more tension. We get more tension on the sticks for the Ally
These
X.
sticks are pretty loose.
It's the only thing. But you get a little bit of that joystick grind, which always bugs me on the Ally X. You can kind of feel.
It feels better on the X than it does on the original Ally.
It does. It does. And the D-pad here, pretty decent. I actually like the face buttons better though, on over there. And even looking at Cyberpunk with an eGPU plugged in here. Oh, look at this beast. Oh, that's nice. I need this in my life. Don't put your finger in there. No. Clean. Thunderbolt 4.
You give me like a couple hours in here with MSI Afterburner.
All right, taking a look at Cyberpunk 2077 here. Running in 4K low settings on a 4080 Super, plugged in.
I wonder what the GPU is pulling though.
140 FPS.
I don't know how to play mouse keyboard, by the way, guys. Like, I know how to actually do this.
I'm judging you, but not too harshly.
I'm not judging you, Ross. I love you.
We can use this as a mini PC. Dock it up, and here is the MSI dock, which is cool. I've been looking at one of these. Oh, that's cool. So it actually clicks out. Let's take a look at this. Latency test. Now taking a look at the speakers and looking at latency compared here on Rainbow Six Siege between the 8 and the Lenovo Legion Go. The latency I can hear clearly right now is less latency on the MSI versus the Legion. So I'm gonna unplug this real quick and let's take a look at the screens objectively a little bit. So we have here, this is a nighttime shot here, but let's get at least a little bit of in the same area. So you do get a little bit larger screen size on the Legion Go, but you can see there's just a little more clarity going on in the IPS landscape, native landscape display here. Now, speaking of power efficiency, there's other contenders. You don't have to get a Windows handheld, right? Like you could look at Android and perhaps play some of the same games, or you can do streaming. Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 here, so this is gonna really handle everything that you need. AMOLED screen as well, compared to this, which is the Snapdragon 8 G3X Gen 2. A little less compatibility here, but we're not talking about Android today, because guess what? You can do Android right here on the Claw. And this has BlueStacks built in to their launcher. They're still adding it and finalizing it, but expect to see that on the final software. All right, let's wrap up. Well, what did you all think about the new Claw 8 AI Plus? Long crazy name aside, MSI here has brought some really cool things to the table with their latest generation. While not everything here absolutely blew my mind, there are some things to consider, and you are getting some of the best performance I've ever seen on an iGPU with this Lunar Lake chipset, which is ridiculous. Plugging this and combining with an eGPU like a 4070 for instance, or a 4080 Super like we saw today, you just get some crazy frame rates and it's really nice. What I do like about the Claw so far is, while the change to the ergonomics was a bit of a surprise to me and I would have liked to have seen more ergonomic bump outs, I like the feel of it and I like the matte plastic shell, which is very nice. The speakers, oh my goodness, the speakers are next level now. You really feel it throughout the body as you're holding it, and the sound is so clear and crisp and all over. We saw the latency much improved over things like the Legion Go's latency when you're connecting with Bluetooth headphones. And the screen, this 8-inch screen, blew me away too. Awesome, vibrant colors, and it just looks and performs very well. I didn't see screen tearing issues. I didn't see anything that really was a hiccup for the screen. Lunar Lake is awesome, but we are seeing some compatibility issues already with the drivers, so we're gonna have to wait to see will those drivers fix and give us all the games, because while we have the games in here we know will work, we do know that Lunar Lake already testing on other laptops like the ASUS ZenBook S. Not every game is gonna run perfectly, and so we're gonna wait for Intel to make this new generation of iGPU even better. And emulation on this should be so good. Give me a little time. We'll get hands-on with the review unit soon, and we'll dive into emulation. But for now, yeah, those are things that I love. The face buttons are serviceable, they feel good. There's a big improvement here for L1 and R1, and the triggers, those feel, oh, so good, so good. And I love the positioning of M1 and M2, very comfortable and a soft, quiet, clicky. The shoulder buttons as well are just quiet in general, and I like that. Coming over here to the D-pad, and while it's quiet and concave, and feels a little more movement compared to the first gen. Overall, I'd say this is actually a downgrade as far as actually using it as a D-pad and in fighting games, not as Hadoukenable as we saw. The joysticks, while an improvement, also being concave and you get more freedom of motion, a little bit of a downgrade for me in the fact that yes, they're Hull sticks, and there's no joystick grind, but it's too loose. There's not enough tension, and so that is something that kind of bothered me. The other thing that I don't love here, ergonomics, I don't love as much compared to the first gen, so getting an accessory or a case on here to get some more ergo bumps out for big hand guys like me, so we don't have space there between our hands, that's going to be key. The weight balance on here, while it's a higher weight, the weight balance is very nice, and also the fact that they packed an 80 watt-hour battery in here, you cannot understate just how cool that is and how light it feels with that big of a battery. And we're rocking with 32 gigs of onboard RAM, which is above the Ally X, which is really cool to see. LPDDR5. I like the quick access buttons here as well, so you get quick access to your MSI launch, so I love that we have these options here. And the M Center is coming along. I like the new clean interface. We'll have to see them develop this as it goes, because as you know, using a Windows handheld, navigating Windows without a good front end is kind of not the greatest experience. But having an 8-inch screen here, we're seeing that it's easier to get around to what you need. Lastly, now the big caveat to everything I said here, this is awesome and really probably the ultimate Windows gaming handheld I've used personally so far. The caveat to all this is you're asking $900 USD to get this. You're gonna see it in a Best Buy, Amazon, Target, Costco. So availability is gonna be great, but the price point is really, really tough to ask. And I know we're looking at a higher price point because of that Intel partnership with the new Lunar Lake. So if you're willing to pay a premium for probably the best iGPU I've seen, this might be it, but the Ally X is gonna come $100 cheaper, many of the same specs, a little bit less RAM, a little smaller screen, but you're gonna have more compatibility for games because you have a more tried and true, worn in AMD processor and AMD iGPU. So yeah, this is an interesting prospect, and we're gonna have to see in our more extensive testing when we dive deep into it for our next video to see what it can do with not only emulation, but really do some benchmarking and see how it compares to other offerings. And if you already have the current gen Claw, I don't know if you need this yet, honestly. The Core Ultra still rocks, smaller battery, but the form factor and ergonomics in this original Claw, especially when you add on like a case like this, so good. I actually am a fan of the older sticks, a little more tension on them, and the older D-pad I think works a bit better while still not being ideal, and the face buttons are fine on here. People have problems with the L1 and R1, but I actually don't mind it on my Claw, and the triggers are fine. So I think you may not need to upgrade if you have a current gen Claw, I don't know. And we're gonna have to see also, we don't have it here, but also they have the 7-inch Claw 7 AI Plus coming out, so you're gonna get all the power and improvements from things on here in that older form factor. That might be the one to go. It's also $100 less, so we might have to wait for open box deals at Best Buy, used options on Amazon, and sales, because until we can get the price point right, for everything here and how awesome it is, I don't know that it's worth the premium yet. So stay tuned, everybody. So far though, this is really interesting and I'm excited to see where we go with this. I kind of
You're holding the handheld too low.
Okay. All right, everybody. Well, I want to know what you think about the Claw. Let me know in the comments below, and thank you once again so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share to stay in the know for all of your favorite retro handhelds. And a special thanks once again to our YouTube members, Patreon subscribers, and Discord Premium members. You make everything here possible for us. Perks with RH start for as little as $3 a month. Join us in the Discord to chat and play games, and join me on the podcast. We're going to be talking about all this stuff and more every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific. Join us right here on this channel. Until the next one, this has been Stubbs with RH. Take care of those handhelds, everybody, and each other. Bye. Bye. All right, let's go. And a special thanks once again to our special thanks once again to our premium members. I can't remember my script. Once again, and it's
Instagram members, YouTube channel member. I don't remember now.
oh, I got it. Dun dun dun, Josh. Okay. Hey.